Hey, podcaster, great show today. We did Forbidden Folder and I asked, have you stolen a car? And I felt very uncomfortable doing it because I feel like that is actually forbidden because it's illegal. We also met a kid who can talk backwards. Yes, you heard that right. And Coinky Dinky Tuesdays made a return.
Previously on Ben, Liam and Belle.
You've got an embarrassing mum.
She always says Alpha Skibbity Riz.
Can you chuck your mum on the phone?
Oh my god, that's so skibbity toilet Riz.
And now, live across Australia, this is Ben, Liam and Belle.
You made me break my viewing streak.
On Nova.
Good evening, Australia.
Yesterday we were talking about the Oscars. Obviously they were on in the afternoon, and we got this call from a guy called Sean who worked for an Oscar winner.
I'm the lawyer for Adam Elliott, who won an Oscar for his short animated film Harvey Crumpet back in 2004.
Oh! Milos Harvey Krumpetsky. 13-24-10. Have you worked for a celeb? That's what we want to do this evening. If you were a lawyer to a star, maybe you were just the dentist for someone who was on Neighbours.
Yeah, I would say I'm hoping we get some cleaners. Because cleaners are also getting in their personals.
Yeah, going through the bathroom cupboard and seeing what they put in the bins.
Yeah, we want someone from the inside, especially. So, a cleaner or a nanny, maybe.
Or a doctor who could give us medical records of the stars. Tony in Sydney, you worked for someone famous?
Yeah, worked for Johnny Ruffo, done work for Dr. Goodrum, done work for Little Love Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, right. There's some big names you drop in there, Tony. What do you do?
Security work.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty good fun.
And so have you ever had to drop anyone for getting too close?
No, not really. We just mostly did. They just mostly came into the building and just like grabbed all their mail and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it was good fun.
Was there anybody out of those people you mentioned? Was there anyone who was more high risk?
Probably Johnny Ruffo was like pretty much here at the wild party, so that was good fun.
Yeah, right.
Unreal, Tony. Well, thank you for your call, mate. Dawn, you work for someone famous as well?
Yeah, so I'm a dressmaker, and I actually helped design a dress that Jessica Mauboy wore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. So, and what kind of dress was it? Was it like a bit of a ball gown or?
Yeah, it was pretty glitzy. It was a glitzy long red dress, and it was really nice getting to watch her in it on TV and saying, I was part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is as big as it gets, really. I mean, it kind of is over the last century. This is huge. Tom, you were the gardener for the Queen.
Yeah, I was in London. I was working for the Queen.
Oh, man.
How did you get that gig?
You know, they just put the advert up online. I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'll stick my CV in the pot in the hat, and they went for me. And crazy job. It was a mental time. I was only there for a couple of years, but it's such a good place to work.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're working for the Queen. I mean, as far as gardening goes, I think this is like the best gardens in the world. I mean, did they have to do like a full background check? Like, surely there'd be so much security protocol.
Oh, yeah, and it isn't just me. They had one-to-one interviews with me, but then they went wider. People I knew, they traced back my history for the past 10 years to make sure I hadn't been up to any dodgy business.
Whoa.
And then interviewed the wider family and friends as well.
They couldn't see your internet history, could they?
Well, what you don't put down, they hopefully don't find about.
Was it a full-time Monday to Friday job? Did you just finish one side of the yard and then have to start back on the other?
Yeah, funnily enough, we actually had bikes. It's like a huge place, 54 acres. So to move around, we had bikes, and the bosses went round and double-checked on you. We'd take easily 3 or 4 minutes to walk around. So, yeah, we came in on Mondays and then finished on the Fridays, and that was it. We were off home, ready to put our feet up while everything else continued inside.
Wow.
Tom, I guess the big question here is, did you ever meet Her Majesty the Queen in the gardens?
Well, meet's an interesting word. We were there, and we definitely got in their way multiple times. You'd see them walking past. We all had radios, so they'd kind of come on the radio and say, hey, look, guys, don't go down this path, don't go here. And, of course, you can't stop yourself, can you? You just wander over, have a look, see as they go past. And while you're there, they're just walking around. They're normal people. So you would be eating your lunch and suddenly they just walk past, stick their head in. Good morning, guys. How you doing? And then off they go on the rest of their day.
Right.
It was a weird and wonderful time.
And did Lizzie ever get on the ride-on, do a bit of a shift, clipping the lawns?
Oh, funny enough, apparently when she was younger, she used to do a bit of weeding and get out there. But nowadays she just sends her footman out and he would come along, pick a couple of plants, take them inside and say, look, I'm off to show her.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't think it gets bigger than that. I mean,
Tom, is there anything else that we should know about your job and your time there? It's such a fascinating job.
Obviously, there was the corgis. Queen was well known for having her corgis.
Mm-hmm.
So quite often you'd be walking and suddenly this little dog would come up to you, barking, yapping away. You'd give it a bit of a stroke, a bit of a cuddle, and then it would jump back inside to go sit on the Queen's lap and do what she did. So that was always quite cute. It was just little things like that you make you realise this is a really surreal place to work.
Was there an expectation for you to pick up the corgi's poo if they pooed?
Well, you used to just get a leaf blower and blow it off the side and make sure that nobody knew what you were doing.
Of course, yeah. Bit of a worry if the Queen's walking past and you're leaf blowing some corgi turds around.
Cover her from head to foot.
I bet you can't keep a mewing streak for this whole podcast.
Did you catch that yesterday? Adrian Brody, the actor, he won Best Actor at the Oscars and he was doing his speech and he was getting played off.
And Judy Becker, the real Laszlo Toth, who deserves to be up here as well. And I'm wrapping up. Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off.
That's horrible.
Please, just turn it off. Turn it off. And I get it. The Oscar music guy, God, he power trips with the playoff music. And the guy, I mean, he only works one day a year and he really abuses the music in his personal life.
Hello? Neil, it's Brad. Did you clock off early? Listen, I don't pay you to leave early, okay, pal? No, don't even think about it, Neil. You do not play me off. Do not. Honey, I'm home.
Neil, did you put the bins out? Neil, you've got one job. It's really not that hard. And I swear to God, it's like you never even listen to me. It's like I'm talking to a wall. Neil, don't you dare. Do not.
How was school, sweetheart?
Oh my God, Daddy, the craziest thing ever happened at school today. Eliza Sheridan, from Calabasas State, well, she was running. Dad, can you help me with my... Hello there, do you have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus? Neil, who was that? Have you taken those bins out?
How you doing, Pops? Told me to come in and say my goodbyes.
Son, come closer. I've always wanted to tell you.
If you're listening to this podcast at 2 times speed, it's the Ben Lehman Bell Podcast.
We've just opened up the Forbidden folder, which is where we keep all the taboo topics. And we want to know tonight on 13-24-10, have you stolen a car? We won't accept if you've pirated a DVD. We just want to know if you've stolen a car.
The reason we ask such a wild question tonight is because, one, it's the Forbidden folder. It's where you do it. 2, it's because there's been a list released of the most stolen cars here in Australia. So if you got a car, good chance you've got one because you're in the car right now probably. One of these might be your car, in which case make sure you lock it up overnight, okay? Toyota Corolla comes in at number 5. Toyota Camry, number 4. Toyota Land Cruiser. Holden Commodore at number 2. And the most stolen car in Australia is... Toyota Hilux.
Really? Toyota copying an absolute beating. Is that because there's more Toyotas out there? Do you think that skews? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's less Teslas. I know they're like fancy.
Yeah.
But it's like there's just less of them on the road. So statistically, there's going to be less stolen.
You know, if there's the Holden Commodore Ute and they need to steal a car to tow something, and they go, you know what, this isn't doing the trick. We can go to the Hilux.
I mean, no one's stealing a Fiat.
No.
Fiat 500.
Why not? They're cute.
Kind of.
Yeah, maybe you'd steal one, though, but I wouldn't steal one.
You wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't steal a Fiat. They're kind of lame, right?
But you will steal a Hilux.
Yeah, you'd steal something with some meat behind it, you know?
So I think I'm just realising that our social guy, Jack, does he drive a Fiat? Yeah,
He does too, doesn't he? And, sorry about that. And you don't lock it, is that true? Yeah, it's just the doors are always open.
There's no threat of that car getting stolen.
Never had any issues. He leaves the keys in the ignition. Please, steal this. That'd be good. I would like the insurance.
13, 24, 10. We know it's a wild question, but clearly people are stealing cars. Have you ever stolen a car? Give us a buzz. We'd love to hear from you. We've got prizes up for grabs. Our first caller is M, who joins us now. Your friend stole a car?
Hi, guys. So what happened was she was in Europe, and with hire car companies, you need to tell them if you're going to be crossing a border. She forgot to tell them she was crossing into Poland and got locked up in a Polish prison.
Oh, and how do Polish prisons go?
Oh, from what I've heard, not so great.
Yeah, because you sort of, some countries you're like, oh, it wouldn't be the worst. Balinese prison, not too great.
So, Em, they just assumed because she'd crossed the border that she was trying to steal the car.
The border, security were like, oh, this hasn't been, registered that this car's coming through across the border. What's going on? This car's been stolen. And then they were like, oh, we're actually arresting you because you've stolen this car.
Wow. I guess living in Australia, we're just not used to the fact that you can just drive into another country. And I guess they would take that pretty seriously.
Yeah. Well, Em, thank you very much. We are going to pay for your dinner tonight.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks, guys.
No worries, and we'll give you a $50 GYG voucher. You can enjoy GYG's new street corn. It's the must-have side, only $3.50 at Guzmani Gomez.
We don't have any Polish goulash to give her. I think that would have fitted better. George in Melbourne, you've witnessed a car being stolen, but you had no hand in it.
Correct. So I, back in the day, used to work in a corporate hotel in the valet team. And because being a corporate hotel, we used to get a lot of hire cars come through. One morning we had two cars that were parked next to each other that were the same colour and same model of car. And one of the team members accidentally gave the wrong keys to the wrong person. We weren't aware that they'd given the wrong keys to the wrong guest until the second guest had come down a little bit later on and had informed that this was not his car.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. It's sort of like, why would you steal the same model and make? You know what I mean? It's like if if you could get a Ferrari or something instead of a Ford Fiesta, I get it. But it's like, I've stolen a Mazda 6 with less mileage than mine.
Unless they just actually thought it was their car.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it could have been.
Caitlin in Melbourne, you were in a stolen car. What happened?
Hey, guys. So when I was about 16, it's always the rage to know people that are older than you and that have cars and stuff. So obviously one of our guy friends messaged us and we were just like, oh, yeah, cool, I'll come pick you girls up and we'll just drive around, get some food. So that's what we did. I remember sitting in the car and I'm like, why is the driver, who I'd never met before, wearing gloves? I thought it was just a bit weird. And the car was really messy and stuff. And then, we find out a couple of weeks later that they did in fact steal the car just before picking us up.
Yeah,
and
right.
They dumped it on the train tracks after. So.
Very cool.
Gosh.
What are we going to do now? We're on this car. Let's take some Year 8 chicks to Hungry Jack's. Just wearing balaclavas with their leather gloves on.
Sup, chicks?
Hey, chicks, we're going to go burn this car later on, but not after we get some nuggets. Dan in Melbourne, here we go. You've actually done it, mate. You've stolen a car.
I did something, yeah. It wasn't quite a car. It was actually a tractor.
Whoa, farm crim. What were we talking here? A John Deere, was it?
Backstory, I was doing my farm work like the good old backpacker I was, and they decided to underpay us. So the rest of the crew decided to go down to Melbourne, go out for the weekend, and a couple of us stayed back. And we had a few drinks and thought, you know what? Let's just go on the reckless wrecking ball, Just see some tractors and plough through the fields and got our money's worth.
Yeah, and the phone line was a little crispy there, but I feel like you're being underpaid, Dan, and in retaliation you stole a tractor.
That's what I gathered.
Yes, and yeah, I feel like the person you're working for is still not paying you well because you're calling on an iPhone 4. We've got a call here from Anon. Now, your brother stole a car.
Yes, he did. Both my brothers together.
Oh, what happened?
My dad was an undercover policeman many years ago and had an undercover car out the front of our house. And he wasn't home, so my brothers went for a joyride in an undercover police car
Oh, my God.
and then parked it back in the same spot, and Dad was never the wiser.
Oh, so I went for a joyride with the police scanner going. That's a bit of fun.
Yeah. I mean,
A few
obviously...
decades ago, before the scanner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Back when you could smoke in cars.
Yeah, the good old days. Huh? Yeah, it didn't even matter if you had kids back there. You could still just honk on a big durry.
Thanks, Anon.
David in Sydney, have you stolen a car?
I have stolen one, and I've had to hotwire it to start it.
Whoa.
Oh, God. I mean, was it someone you knew or, you know?
It was a completely random car on the road.
Ah.
And there's a couple of questions I got for you. First one, how did you learn how to hotwire a car?
We broke into the car first. That was the thing. And we sat there for 25 minutes on YouTube figuring out how to start a car that you didn't have a key for.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I would have thought that was like pre-thought sort of stuff. Like you would sort of be rehearsing, you know, practicing with wires in the shed before you go out and do the break-in.
David, why did you do this?
I was 13 and I got dared by a mate.
It was a dare?
And so from the dare, you break into the car, then you watch YouTube tutorials for 20 minutes, and then you just know how to hotwire a car from YouTube.
Well, I zapped myself a couple times with the wires, I can't lie, but eventually got the car started. But the bigger challenge was figuring out how to drive manual because the car was manual.
Yeah. And also learning how to drive at all because, of course, you were 13 at the time, as you just admitted. Obviously, all very dangerous. We don't condone any of this.
Yeah, you're not doing any head check as you're pulling out.
I'm sure there was some YouTube tutorials on how to drive a manual. Thanks, David.
Okay.
That bit was Baby Gronk approved. Oi, stop gooning. The next bit's about to start.
Hey, if you've got a party trick that you think is pretty cool, well, sit down because we are about to meet a kid, an Aussie kid. He's 10 years old and he can speak backwards without hesitation. You give him a word, you give him a sentence, he'll flip it and spin it and reverse it and say it backwards.
He's Australia's Missy Elliott.
He Missy Elliott's it up for us.
His name is Zach and he joins us now. Zach, how you going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. When did you first realise you could do this?
Maybe 2 years ago, I think. It's hard to remember.
I mean, are people asking you to do this like non-stop at school?
Yes.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Zach.
School's finished and you've still got people pestering you to do the skill. Could you say you're on Nova backwards?
Roina Avon.
Whoa, no hesitation whatsoever. Incredible.
How do you do it, if you can explain that?
Yeah, I see the word in my head and then I quickly flip it and read it backwards.
Because that's the thing, I can do that with like God as dog and, yada yada. But 3-letter words is pretty much where it ends. Can you do supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Whoa! That is unbelievable.
Look, we've got some people calling up that want to test out your skills, Zach. Are you up for a bit of a challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're joined now by Beck in Sydney. You've got a phrase that you'd like young Zach to reverse.
Hi, Zach. Can you say she sells?
Lesses.
It's pretty good. Can you say seashells by the seashore?
Isles, lesses, apetes, eros.
It sounds like you're summoning the devil, Zach. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of scary, man.
It sounds a little bit like Greek as well.
Okay, well, look, you're clearly up for the challenge. We've got another call here. Georgie is in Melbourne. What would you like Zach to say backwards?
Hi, Zach. Can you say skibbity riz?
Ibrid.
I feel like you've probably done that one before.
If you put on our podcast as you go to sleep, this one's for you.
Is that the day? Gee whiz, I just realised it's Tuesday. It feels like a perfect opportunity to do this.
Coinky Dinky Tuesday, what happened in your life? Give us a call if you've had a coincidence. For instance, you might have had an Uber driver twice. If you don't make it on, we'll do this bit again.
Now, a little birdie told me that one Ben Harvey has a coincidence.
Yep, I sure do, Liam. And it's better than getting the same Uber driver twice.
Wow. Seriously? Because that is quite hard to get, especially if you're in different locations of a city, which was the case with mine.
It's better than that. If you are standing up, you may want to sit down for
All right,
this.
I'm going to sit down.
Also, if you have your own Coinky Dink for Tuesday, 13 24 10, give us a buzz. I was sitting on the toilet. Sitting on the toilet. And my wife, Sam, was like, Ben! She was like screaming. She's like, oh my God. You're never going to believe it. You got to come see this.
And obviously you were hiding in there from your wife and child. So you would think, so this is one of the rare opportunities that you sort of obviously responded and stopped pretending being on the toilet.
It did sound like an emergency. So I wrapped it up.
Yep.
I got into the kitchen. She got a double yolker.
Wow, that is pretty crazy.
Pretty cool. Double yolker, right?
I sense there's more, though.
Yeah, because that's not
It
that
doesn't
rare.
impress me if it's just one double yolker.
I was obviously very happy for her.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
I've never had one myself, literally.
And that was how I was feeling, Liam. I was a little bit sad because I had never had a double yolker.
Yeah.
Until the next morning I was making breakfast.
No way.
I crack my egg and inside
is
a double yolker.
Another double yolker from the same
Because I'm sorry, but the photo I'm looking at looks like a quad yolker.
No, it's because I'm showing a photo now on the screen behind me. That is a double yolker, but the yolks have popped, so it looks like four yolks.
Because you could have probably got away with quad yolk, and my head would have actually exploded. So
That's just
I was
quadruplets.
just sort of stopped in my tracks. I just didn't know what I was looking at for a second.
So it was pretty exciting. I cracked it, and blip, blip, out came two yolks,
That's
one egg.
nuts. That is actually nuts.
It was crazy.
So from the same carton?
Same carton.
Wow.
And so did you yell for Sam and say,
I did. I did. And I think she was a little bit peeved because I think she was proud that she was the only one in the house that had a double yolker.
Yeah, right. Does a double yolker mean that the chicken would have had twins?
I believe so, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Jasmine joins us now in Melbourne. What's your Coinky Dink?
I got a job at a childcare centre and made friends with a colleague, and we decided to go on a trip to America together. And we were in Las Vegas, walking down the Las Vegas Strip, and walking in front of us was a 3-year-old we looked after at the centre.
Whoa, that's pretty cool, Jasmine. That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
It's about on the level as one double yolker. I think.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Coinky Dinky Tuesday, what happened in your life? Give us a call if you've had a coincidence. For instance, you might have had an Uber driver twice. If you don't make it on, we'll do this bit again.
Jess in Sydney, what's your Coinky Dink?
My Coinky Dink is my ex-boyfriend and I used to date a few years back, and then coincidentally we found out our parents used to date at the same age when they were younger.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one, yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully you're not secret brother and sister.
Yeah, that's some real Gossip Girl stuff right there.
Yeah, or Star Wars.
Is it?
Yeah, Luke and Leia, yeah.
We don't have time to go into the Star Wars lore right now.
We're not getting into the
I
lore
can go into the
right
Gossip
now.
Girl lore if you want.
No, we don't want that either. Kelly, what about you? What's your coincidence?
Hi.
What's your coincidence, Kelly?
My my girlfriend that I went to school with, her parents actually bought their house from my now husband's parents.
yeah.
Hang on. Can we do it one more time?
Weird, bizarre.
So your friend growing up her parents bought their house from your husband's parents?
No, from my husband's cousin's parents.
Oh, wow.
We
that
were
is
at a function one day and we all worked out where everybody lived, and he said, "What, did you live in 3rd Avenue?" And she said, "Yeah." And they said the phone number, because back in the day you used to keep the same phone numbers.
Yeah.
And they said, "No way." He was saying to my girlfriend, "My parents actually sold that house to your parents."
You wouldn't read about it, would you? A lot of people involved in that. Louise, tell us about your Coinky Dink.
Okay, so my daughter, whose name is Romy, she recently started working at McDonald's, and she came home on her first day and said, "My manager is called Romy." Now, it's a quite unusual name,
And I said, oh, what's her last name? And when she told me, I said, you are not going to believe this. That is the person that you are named after.
Whoa!
And they had never met or come in contact with each other. It was only that Romy was the sister of my son's friend at preschool. So, yeah. And we loved the name, and so we named her after that Romy. And now they met up at work.
And, of course, that Romy was named after Ronald McDonald. So it's all sort of come full circle, the fact that they work there.
Look, we've had some great ones. We've had some other ones. Let's get one more. Beck in Melbourne, what's your Coinky dink?
Nah, we'll wrap it there, I reckon. Good stuff.
Coinky Dinky Tuesday, thanks for coming on. I've made this little song to round the segment out. If you have another coincidence happen in your life, make sure you make a mental note so you can call us next Tuesday.
It's a good call, I reckon.
Yeah.
And that's it!
Like that podcast? There's heaps more to listen to if you just scroll back or download the Nova Player app.
Ben, Liam and Bell.